Ken Acker recently joined a live chat hosted by Seymour Bedex along with other content creators. The live session was supposed to clear up questions about Gypsy Rose and her life now. Instead of helping, Ken's answers left everyone even more confused. His words made it hard to tell if he was just in denial or trying to hide something. Let's go over what happened and why it's causing so much buzz. The first big question was about Gypsy's pregnancy and her baby's early birth. Ken said their baby was born a month early but was healthy, with no problems, no C-section, and no NICU stay. He added that they left the hospital 2 days after the delivery, which might seem like a relief to most people. But as the conversation continued, things started to sound less straightforward and left many people scratching their heads.
Baby was born at 36 weeks. She was a tiny bit early, but she was perfectly healthy and she never went to the NICU. She was a natural birth and she came home with us 2 days later, and she's been incredible. She's been growing. She's been the best baby ever. And what else do you want to know?
Oh, I think that's amazing to hear.
Okay, so we got that out of the way. Next question.
Okay, well, my question was, does that confirm that you didn't hook up and cheat before Gypsy admitted?
During another live session, Gypsy had shared that her induction was scheduled for January 16th, even though her due date was January 22nd. This already raised eyebrows because inductions are usually scheduled for pregnancies that go past their due date or when there is a significant medical concern. What made this timeline even stranger was that their baby arrived even earlier than January 16th, before the induction date.
The baby wasn't due until January 25th. Why did Gypsy on Breeze Live say that she was supposed to be induced?
It was the
22nd.
Okay, but that's not my
question.
Was it the
22nd, Ken?
Why did Gypsy
The 22nd was the original due date, yes.
January. Okay, go ahead.
Yesterday was the due date.
So when Gypsy was on Breeze Live 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, she said that she was supposed to be induced on that day. Why so early?
No, the original induction date was supposed to be the 16th, not the 22nd. And but the baby made an early appearance. But luckily she was totally healthy and happy, and the doctor sent us home. There was no NICU, there was no C-section, it was a natural birth. I swear to that. I have no reason to lie about that. I have no motive to lie about that. That is the truth. And we got lucky, and I'm just happy and blessed that she was healthy and everything has been great.
Ken kept repeating that everything was fine, but his insistence almost felt like he was trying to convince himself as much as his audience. Why did he feel the need to defend himself so strongly when no one had directly accused him of anything yet? Adding to the confusion, one of the panelists explained how inductions typically work. They noted that doctors generally avoid inducing labor early unless there is a pressing medical need. The primary goal is to allow the baby to stay in the womb as long as possible to develop fully. This explanation clashed with Ken's account and made his version of events seem less believable. Was the induction scheduled early because of a serious medical issue, or was it something else entirely? The timeline discrepancy led many to wonder whether Gypsy had gotten pregnant earlier than she claimed, potentially explaining the push for an earlier induction. Beyond that, some speculated about whether Ken truly understood the medical details he was sharing. Was he repeating what he had been told without fully grasping it, or was he intentionally being vague to avoid revealing something? Either way, his explanation seemed to raise more questions than it answered. These inconsistencies and uncertainties only added fuel to the fire, leaving viewers with the impression that something about the pregnancy timeline did not add up. Another topic was about where Gypsy and the baby stayed after the birth. Ken explained that they spent the first week at his place in Metairie, where his mom stepped in to help with the baby. According to Ken, his mom provided much-needed support during that time, since it was their first week as new parents. He shared that his mom helped with everything from feeding to changing the baby, which was a big relief for them as they adjusted to this new chapter in their lives.
Aurora's in great hands. She's got a great loving mother. She's got a great loving father. She's got a great supportive and loving family, grandparents, etc. And she's gonna have a great life. So you can do whatever the hell you want, but
I don't think
Aurora
I do not
has a
think
great
people should
family.
call CPS. I do
No,
not
yeah, I don't agree with that at all. That's why I
Uh-uh.
want to know what you thought. I'm not
Yeah,
for that.
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Can
So,
what can
It's a
we
horrible thing.
expect that's different from the trailer that Lifetime has put out?
all
Can
I
you-
can tell
can
you
you
is to
give us
watch the
something?
show. I can't give you anything. Watch the show and you'll see.
Mhm.
But Aurora is born to a very happy and loving family, and she's going to have an amazing life, and she's been great so far. She's been the most amazing baby. She's been growing, and she's been eating, and she's great, and she's a complete
Keep
joy.
saying she's been eating like
And growing.
mean-
However, this arrangement raised some serious questions about Gypsy's parole conditions. Was she even allowed to stay somewhere other than her father's house? Ken clarified that the arrangement wasn't permanent and that Gypsy returned to her dad's house shortly after. The situation left many people wondering if this temporary move might have crossed any boundaries, even unintentionally. Ken also mentioned that Gypsy isn't breastfeeding their baby and that they're using baby formula instead. While using formula isn't uncommon, it sparked a conversation about Gypsy's own upbringing and the peculiar details she shared in her memoir. In her book, she revealed that she was bottle-fed well into her 20s, which many people found both strange and unsettling. This detail added attention to the fact that Gypsy is now raising a child of her own. For some, it felt like an eerie echo of her past influencing her present, while others viewed it as another layer of complexity in her already unusual story. It's a connection that, whether intentional or not, people couldn't ignore, making this yet another curious chapter in Gypsy's ongoing journey. The conversation then shifted to the trailer for Love You to Death Season 2. One particular scene caught everyone's attention when Ken appeared regretful about having a baby with Gypsy before she officially divorced Ryan. When asked to explain the context of this scene, Ken brushed it off, saying trailers are designed to spark curiosity and get people to watch the show.
I want this
Trailers are
baby.
set up.
I'm surprised.
They're set up to make you want to watch what the actual context of the conversation was. But you'll have to
True.
watch the show to find out what that context was.
Well,
So
yeah,
you're telling us Lifetime set us up for?
I'm not telling you that Lifetime did anything. I'm just telling you that trailers are set up to make you want to watch the episode for the full context. So if you want to watch the episode for the full context of that conversation that I had, you'll have to watch the show.
It just seemed like what you said in the trailer was you were surprised that, or you were disappointed that this baby was born the way it was, and you weren't even ready for it, and you thought
Nope.
you should have got the divorce.
like
The
I said,
divorce should
you'll
have been
have to-
settled first before you actually.
Again, you'll have to watch the show to find out the full context of that conversation. I can't.
Ken,
I have
why
no
is,
control over how edits are made.
Okay,
You know,
that's
you
fair.
have to watch.
This raised an interesting question. Was the regret Ken showed in the trailer genuine, or was it just scripted for drama? Ken quickly denied that the scene was fake but refused to elaborate further, citing his contract with Lifetime. He explained that the terms of his agreement prevented him from discussing the show's content in detail. This only fueled speculation about how much influence Lifetime has over Ken and Gypsy's public image. Ken admitted during the live that he can't do interviews or make public statements without Lifetime's approval. For instance, he was able to join Nick Val's podcast only because the network had given him permission to do so. This revelation left many wondering how much of Ken's story is genuinely his own and how much is shaped by the obligations and restrictions of his contract. It's hard to tell where the real Ken ends and the Lifetime narrative begins, adding another layer of mystery to an already complicated situation. When asked about Gypsy's memoir, My Time to Stand, Ken's discomfort was immediately noticeable. He admitted to reading the book and described it as emotional, but he firmly avoided diving into specifics. Instead, he quickly steered the conversation away, leaving the impression that there was something in the memoir he did not want to confront.
The book. We're not going to get into the book.
Why?
Why not,
I
Ken?
just don't want to. I don't want to.
It doesn't
What are
matter.
your
Yeah,
thoughts
let's
about
talk
it?
about
We're not going to talk about this.
If you were to rate it 1
Are
to
you
5,
proud of
like
her book?
a movie.
Are you proud? Are you
I'm
proud
proud
of
of
it?
Gypsy for sharing her story, and that's all there is to say.
This reaction led many to believe he might have felt embarrassed by its contents or that it revealed truths he'd rather not discuss publicly. For those familiar with Gypsy's story, the idea of Aurora, their daughter, eventually reading the memoir is difficult to ignore. If Ken found the book emotional, how much more impactful could it be for Aurora? The memoir's detailed account for Gypsy's troubled past and the tragic events surrounding her mother's death could have profound effects on their child as she grows older. It raises questions about how Ken and Gypsy plan to navigate this part of their history when Aurora inevitably seeks answers. The thought of a child trying to process such heavy truths about their family is both heartbreaking and deeply unsettling. Things got tense when Ken argued with Nina, a creator known for sharing her insights on Gypsy's story. The discussion started when Ken accused Nina of spreading false information about Gypsy just to gain more views. Nina did not hold back, firing back with claims that it was Gypsy who had initially reached out to her and that Gypsy's actions had directly caused her to lose her job. According to Nina, Gypsy manipulated events in a way that severely impacted her livelihood. Ken, however, was quick to dismiss this, claiming that Nina's job loss was due to her own performance issues and not anything related to Gypsy. The tension escalated rapidly, turning the discussion into a heated shouting match that dominated the live session. Ken's aggressive defensiveness made him come across as someone either hiding critical information or completely blinded by his loyalty to Gypsy. He firmly maintained that he had personally verified every aspect of Gypsy's story, including medical records that allegedly confirmed Didi's Murchison by proxy diagnosis. However, this bold claim was quickly challenged by the panelists, who pointed out that the impossibility of such verification, especially since Didi had passed away years ago. There would be no way to access or confirm such records, making Ken's statements highly questionable. Despite this, Ken doubled down on his narrative, showing a determination to protect Gypsy's image at all costs, even when his version of events did not align with the facts. His unwavering defense raised even more doubts, leaving viewers to wonder if Ken was deliberately misleading or simply too invested in Gypsy to see the bigger picture. A big question was whether Didi's family, the Petries, would get to meet Aurora. Ken assured viewers that he would make sure it happened, emphasizing that his Instagram DMs were open for anyone wanting to reach out. He painted a picture of willingness and accessibility, saying he understood how important it was for families to stay connected. But despite his promises, many remained skeptical. Was Ken genuinely committed to following through, or was he just saying what people wanted to hear in the moment? The doubt stems from Gypsy's complicated history with her family. Over the years, her relationship with Didi's side of the family has been strained, filled with mistrust and emotional baggage. Given this context, it's hard to imagine a smooth path for such a reunion. Some speculated that even if Ken had good intentions, Gypsy might ultimately have the final say, potentially blocking the Petries from being involved in Aurora's life. Whether his words were heartfelt or merely an attempt to appease critics remains to be seen. And many are left wondering if the Petries will ever truly get a chance to connect with their granddaughter. By the end of the live, Ken's image was badly damaged. His answers did not clear up much and often made things more confusing. Whether he's being controlled by Gypsy or is just as manipulative as her, one thing is clear. Their daughter Aurora is growing up in a complicated situation. Ken's live appearance left people with many questions. Why was he so defensive? What's the real story behind Gypsy's memoir? And what kind of life will Aurora have with parents who seemed so tangled in lies? What do you think about Ken's behavior during the live? Was he hiding something? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.